Hello, Professor. Thanks for giving me the chance to present my assignment today. So, today I'm gonna explain about the execution process I've did in data integration for data integration using Pentaho software, and I'm gonna show my visualizations I did in Tableau, and I'm gonna explain what are the difficulties I faced during this process and how did I overcome my issues. So first, I'm gonna showcase the execution of the ETL process. ETL is like extracting, transform, and loading the data. And then I'm gonna tell you about the key steps I followed and how did I apply the transformations to the LinkedIn JSON file. So first, I'm gonna open Penthouse software here. I have used this Penthouse software tool tool to perform extract, load, and transform the data. I have used JSON input and table output for taking the demographic data into and transforming the data to store it in the relational database. So first I'm going to tell you what JSON input is. JSON input, like we will be using JSON input to extract structured data from the JSON files, and table output is used to load this processed data into a relational database, which we are going to use that relational database to visualize the data in Tableau. So in this demographic file, I have used JSON input, and here, as you can see, this is a path where I've stored my LinkedIn JSON file. So I'm getting the data from my local source by using the filer directly column here. So after giving the path here, we need to click on add so that the path will be added here. So after that, we can select the attributes, like whatever the attributes we feel is required for visualizations, or we need to store it in the relational database. We can give the uh, attributes here so that the attributes got selected and uh, loaded into the software. So then I'm using table output to process the data into a relational database. As you can see, when I click on edit button, as I have already created the connection, I have given the database name because I've created a database called data lab here. I have created the data uh, I did some I created the table here for storing the data. So I have given the database name as dataware lab and the port number as 3306, username root, and password. These are the credentials to my database. So I've given the database. So I've tested this. Like it got connected to that database, and so after uh, connecting to your relational database, so we can click on SQL here. Like in the beginning, it will give you a create command, so that we can create the table in a database. It will when we click on execute, it will create the table in the database. Then it will store it will a table is created. So after that, when I run this one and I run table output, the data paused from the JSON input will be stored into this relational database which we created while by executing the SQL command. So suppose, but there is a problem here. The issue, the problem I have faced here is like whenever whenever I run this table output, like all the datas will be stored again, so duplicate datas will be created. So for overcoming to this problem, I have selected truncate table here so that new duplicate data won't be storing in the database. And I have selected ignore insert errors because in my JSON file we have null values. So while creating the database, while loading the data into database, if the primary key has a null values, it will give error. So at that time, uh, it will we will be facing errors. To overcome this issue, I have checkbox ignore insert errors. So in the same way, I have here firstly, when we see the data here, we can see uh, there are like these JSON files has like objects. In that, it also has another objects, like we can call it as nested objects. First, we are taking the information, demographic information related to the user. Then we're gonna take experience table, and we're gonna use education to transform to load the data in visualization. So first I'm taking demographic data, so that's why I've taken these fields here, all the information related to the user. So in the next, I'm using education's data to show what are the like educational background of the user. So in the same way, I have given the path here. Then I have selected the fields. As you can see in my first JSON input, I have taken to public identifier is a foreign key in this table, education, education column. As I'm creating I'm transforming this data to store it in a database only related to education. So in the next JSON input, I've taken the start date, end date, field of study, school. As you can see, um, as you can see, education object has started, ended, field of study, degree name, school name, LinkedIn, these attributes. So uh, we are loading the data here. We have selected the data here. So as you can see, as you can see, started had another nested object. So to extract this data, we again created another JSON input here. So we have selected the day, month, and year. In the same way, end date also has another nested object. So we have created another JSON input. So for extracting the day, month, and year attributes. Again, here we have used select values. The reason we are using select values is to like filter and modify the data fields. Like we can select whatever the data we feel is required, and we can ignore the data like we if we doesn't feel like it's required for the visualizations or any operations. So I have selected the fields which I felt like important to show use it in visualizations. So I have in the same way I've explained in demographic, I have uh, created the connection. I have tested, and it got successfully connected. Then I have executed the SQL command to create a database called education in the database. And then I have run this one table output to load the data into database. And again, if you see, I checkbox truncate table and ignore inserts just to ignore the errors. If any values are present in the table, it has to like it won't give any errors. And truncate table is to like whenever we run the table output, duplicate data doesn't gonna store in the database. In the same way, I have created a new transformation for experience in the and a public identifier is a foreign key, and experience one. As you can see, just like education has nested at objects, experience also has nested objects inside. And started has another nested objects, day, month, and year. So to extract the data from these objects, we have selected first we have taken public identifier experience. So here I have selected like I have not given path here because I'm taking the data from my previous step. So from my previous step, I have public identifier and experience. I want to take data from experience. As you can see here, the data is present inside experience. So I want to take the data from experience. So that's why I selected this field. Then in the field section, I have given the columns like whatever I feel are important for creating my visualizations are present in the JSON file. As you can see, in the say like just as I explained, started has another objects columns inside that object. S Started object has another columns inside that. So we, in order to extract the data from it, we have created uh, another JSON input. Then we have extracted the started and ended here, and we have used select values to select the values and modify it. uh, then we in the same way we have created connection. um, we have tested, it got connected successfully. Then we have given a target table name as experiences. When I, like in the beginning, it will show a create statement. When I execute the statement, it a new table called experience table will be added. as i said as I said here, public identifier is the primary key. In order to have in order to have a primary key in the table of education and experience, we have checkboxes written auto generated key. It will create unique values for every row. We have named it as experience ID. So experience ID is the primary key in this table. So like this I have created for accomplishments connections in the same way. So I have loaded the data into database just to check. I'm gonna uh, run the command tables just to show the tables. Here these are the tables I have created by using Penthouse software, and all the data has been loaded into those data tables. So these are the values I have stored. So after this we have used Tableau, Tableau for visualization purpose. Here I have connected my SQL to the Tableau database, and I have these are the tables I have created in the database, so it's showing. So then I have used demographic, then connect join them with connection education experiences. So here I'm gonna show you like I have created a sheet for visualizations I felt like are useful for using in dashboard. I have created sheet for overall view, individuals total experience, educational detail, count of persons from each state, number of employees worked, number of states from a same college, uh, companies they have worked for, employment history we can say, uh, total LinkedIn connections of a user, and I have created a scatter scatter plot to show the years on education versus years on working. Like the user spent years on education versus the user spent years on working. So now I'm gonna explain about my visualization here. As you can see, I have taken all the users present in the JSON file. um, this is the original state of my visualization with dashboard without selecting any values here or any user, any column. So here as you can see, we have all the users names, and we have a number of students from same college visualization. As you can see, as an example here, if I hover on this, it is showing the school name and the number of uh, public and unique identifiers, uh, count of individuals from each state. Illinois has highest number of individuals. These are the employment history. This is created to show like what are the companies the user has worked. Educational details of a user. Here at first we are having educational details of every user, and these are the average sum of all the users calculated because we have not selected any user particularly. So here it's showing employee count per company, how many employees are present in a company. In example, Illinois uh, IIT has 10 count unique counts. So here it's showing the total LinkedIn connections of a user. Now as you can see, Anthony J. James is the highest number of connections he had, and the lowest is Saujanya MSL with 139 connections. So for example, suppose like we want to select a user and we want to see his employment history, details related to only the user. We just need to click on Calvin. If I click on Calvin, I can see the educational details of Calvin, only Calvin, and the years, number of years he spent on education, number of years of work experience he had. We have the details here. We have his total number of connections, which is 0, and we can see the employment history of the user here. The company he worked, as example, Expeditionary. He worked for 2 years there. He currently working in Harvard's Welfare Center. So in the same way, we can select the details of every user here. The table is transforming according to the option we selected or the user we are selecting. It's getting changed. We can also filter using company's name. Suppose I want to see only people who are present in Amazon. We can just here we can see people who are like working in Amazon, or Alfredo, Andy, Arsham. Or we can, if we want to see in any, if we want to see if we want to see you people presenting in Accenture and Accenture both. Akshita Burks, these guys are working in these companies. So in the same way, we can also filter out by using college name. Like if we want to see people who are from only Dalhousie University, only Brian is from Dalhousie University. If we want to see people who are from Cornell University, Lance is from university. As we can, if we want to see people who are from IIT, Dikshita Divakar is from, sorry, this no, from Illinois Institute of Technology. So these are the one who is from Illinois Institute of Technology. So in this way we can filter out the users. We can select according to our requirement. So in this process, the problems I faced in the beginning is like uh, connecting to the database. At first, I have created the database in Tableau Plus, then I have given the table name there. But at that time, the duplicates have been created, but and even I was not able to load store the data in table because it has error. So when I tried to run the table output in Pentaho software, it gave me errors. Then I did my research, then I found because of the null values present in the primary key section, the errors have been given. So to avoid that, I have given ignore insert values. Then it worked for me. And another issue I faced is like whenever I try to run the table output, every time I run, the new data is added into the table. So duplicate data has been created there. To avoid that, I have selected truncate table. Yeah, like in this way, I have created I have performed the ETL process. Then I have stored the data in table. Then use connected the table to by my Tableau. Then I have used the tables present in the database to visualize the data. Thank you, Professor.